Back talking Central State A Conference football.
Week 5.
Week 5, halfway through. The big one is over. What? First of all, give us a headliner from week 4.
It's a cop-out, but it's one I can justify. I'm going to go with the entire Rochester
I think you can justify
football team. I mean, and you look at that 13-10 win over SHG, I can point to at least 7 or 8 guys who all played a key role. From Westlawn, did a good job of taking care of the ball, and Colton Glazberg had 97 yards, both touchdowns. Riley McMinn was huge, had a couple sacks. John Gilson knocked away the
potential game-winning
pass. Dan Camp was a monster. At linebacker, the Rochester coaching staff, led by Derek Leonard, did an amazing job having their kids prepared to play that game.
But still, Todd, when SHG has got the ball and Daryl McMath is running down the field, did you feel like I did that it happens all the time, SHG will win this game?
Yeah, you don't get to – I mean, there weren't a lot of close calls in that 59-game streak, but you don't get that level of confidence by not believing you're going to put it in the end zone. And really, McMath was the one thing that Rochester really couldn't answer. I mean, just the size and the fact if he gets a head start, he's going to pick up 4 yards. There's just all there is to it. But he got hurt on that drive, unfortunately for SHG. When he came back in, they stopped him, and then the defense stepped up again. But yeah, I mean when they got to about the 50 and the clock was running down, I thought they're going to find a way to stick this thing in with less than a minute and escape. But
which segues into this week. Our big game this week is Springfield High and Sacred Heart Griffin. What does if Springfield High watches that tape and the future SHG opponents? What did they get out of watching the Rochester game? What do they have to do to do what Rochester did?
Well, it helps if you have some explosive weapons, which Springfield High does. I think that quarterback-wise are not as dynamic back there as they were in years past. With Pat Smith, I mean, he's doing a good job, but I mean, it's just there's the pretty high standard to live up to.
Yeah, that bar is pretty high up there.
And he, maybe not quite there yet. And really, and Mike Taylor alluded to this when I spoke to him this week, they've got to get out of their own way. I mean, 98-0 in the last 2 years when they've been on there, and both games were over at halftime, and both games were marred by huge collapses, turnovers, and just maybe some bad decisions across the board.
And we remember the last minute of the game last year.
And the first half. So, there's a level of confidence there that Rochester brought into that game that Springfield High has got to find. And then they have to take that and not shoot themselves in the foot and give this team a game.
Third year in a row that Terrell Bolden, there's no surprises. I mean, Terrell Bolden is the same quarterback he was, a better quarterback, but he still brings the same things to the plate that he brought as a sophomore, and SHG was able to bottle him up then and bottle him up last year. He had trouble getting a snap last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the issue with that was. That hasn't been, that dated back to the week before against Glenwood last year, but that hasn't been a problem. They haven't had that huge, sort of game. They've maybe been a little bit below their standard in the first half of the last couple games, but they've turned it on the second half. Not going to have that luxury against SHG. They're going to, especially with the way these last 2 years have gone, they need to hit the ground running in this one.
And they're, again, one of the highest scoring teams in the state, Springfield High we're talking about. The other one that we think about is how does Rochester avoid a letdown? They play Taylorville. It's a home game. They go back home. Taylorville's got some veteran players that have been through it before. How does Rochester avoid saying, oh, man, we got that one out of the way?
Yeah, especially with Springfield High coming up for them next
that'd be
week.
the sandwich game.
It's I think it comes down to just preparation, and I guarantee you come Saturday morning, SHG was a distant memory for them. I mean, the thing to remember is that Derek Leonard likes to win just as much as his dad does over at SHG, and I'm sure he's learned a trick or two about getting a big game behind you and focusing on the next one. Taylorville's a pretty banged up group. They're going to have Garrett S. back. Blaine Lacey, I've been told he's week to week, but I don't know if there's any gamesmanship going on there. I know from what I saw, the injury looked pretty bad. Hopefully, he can get back to the playing soon. I'm just not too optimistic right now if that'll happen.
Glenwood's got the non-conference game. They've got St. Louis Gateway. We've got Southeast going up to Lincoln. We've got Jacksonville and Lanphier. This is the time when Jacksonville's got to step on the pedal. If they want to get in the playoffs, they got to start delivering right now.
Absolutely. They finished 5-4 last year and missed. They lost a 2 or 3 point game to Lanphier last year, and you can circle that one on the schedule as one that they think they let get away. And Jacksonville's taking it pretty rough in their 2 losses to Rochester and Glenwood last week. So yeah, they'll be looking to bounce back.
If we're looking ahead, bouncing back next week, we'll be talking about Springfield High and Rochester. And
Saturday afternoon matinee.
Will it be two undefeated teams? Will it be 2 victims of Rochester two Rochester playing against 2 teams that have suffered back-to-back losses? What will it be? That'll be next week.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that here. So we'll see you then.
Dick and Walter will be here.